The president arrived at 2:30 today at Griffiths International Airport to discuss tourism in central New York. Now, Griffiths Airport, formerly the Air Force Base, was one of the only places in central New York with a long enough runway to land Air Force One. From Cooperstown, he flew in Marine One. He's going to be flying back here to board Air Force One to return to the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, where he's returning for a Democratic National Party fundraiser. In just a few minutes, he's going to be boarding the plane again to head down to help out with this fundraiser, as the Democrats are expecting a heavy political race come this fall. I'm Ariel Levin Waldman, reporting from Rome for NCC News. Back to you, Kayla.
This is an NCC Morning News Brief. I'm Ariel Levin Waldman. The radical Islamic terrorist group ISIS is threatening to capture more cities across Iraq, including Baghdad. Iraqi leaders are blaming the attacks on the violent civil war in Syria.
This conflict in Syria, you cannot contain it. We will suffer in Iraq as the first country from the spillover.
ISIS commandos overran and took control of 2 cities in just 2 days, including Mosul, Iraq's second largest population center. The U.S. has offered Iraq weapons and air support, but President Obama has ruled out deployment of any more American troops into the war zone. The Defense Department says Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl will be transferred Friday from Germany to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio for treatment and questioning. Bergdahl was held prisoner 5 years by the Taliban before his release May 31st. Defense spokesmen say the Army has appointed a 2-star general to investigate how and why Bergdahl left his base in Afghanistan, resulting in his capture 5 years ago. Bergdahl's condition, doctors say, is stable. In what's known as Phase 3 of the reintegration process, Bergdahl is expected to be reunited next week with his family. New details are emerging from yesterday's shooting at a suburban high school near Portland, Oregon. Police have identified the shooter as Jared Michael Paget. He's a 15-year-old freshman student who killed one of his classmates, wounded a teacher, and then killed himself. Police say he was dressed in camouflage, armed with an assault rifle, and he carried a handgun, knives, and a bag of ammunition inside a guitar case. Students at Reynolds High School reacted after the tragedy.
I don't know how to deal with it. It's crazy just to go to school and have these kids walking around thinking, oh, I have this gun attached, like you're not safe at school or something.
The police have not yet revealed a motive in the shooting. The fatal victim is identified as 14-year-old Emilio Hoffman. The shooter, Paget, is described as a loner, active in the Mormon Church, where he is regarded highly for his spirituality. In Phoenix, a priest has been fatally shot and another critically wounded in an attack at a downtown Catholic church. Witnesses tell police the assailant was a white male in his 40s who burst into the Mother of Mercy Mission Church. With no known motive, police say he killed Reverend Kenneth Walker and seriously wounded Father Joseph Terra. Police say a 2003 Mazda was stolen from church property and later found abandoned. Fire crews today burned down a luxury home that was teetering atop a crumbling 75-foot limestone cliff over a Texas lake. This instead of waiting for it to tumble into the water. Chunks of the luxury home have been falling into Lake Whitney for several days, creating an urgency over how to safely remove the condemned home before gravity sucked all 3 stories into the lake. It is, or at least was, a 4,000 square foot million-dollar mansion, and given the circumstances, we're told its loss is not covered by insurance. And that's our NCC Morning Brief. I'm Ariel Levin Waldman.
Gabriel Smolnicki is a netizen, a person who spends so much time online he practically lives there.
It's not so much of a thing I keep track of as much as it's just all the time.
It's a dangerous place to live, under constant surveillance by advertisers and even the federal government. But programs exist to offer some protection from prying eyes.
The 2 easiest ways to stay anonymous online are PGP encryption and the Tor network. PGP encryption actually encodes your data with a password. Without the password, your data just looks like a random stream of gibberish. The Tor network, on the other hand, is a browser. It routes your connection through multiple IP addresses all over the world. Someone trying to find you would have to look through all of them.
They have some flaws, though. They can be slow and cumbersome to use, and won't prevent someone from unmasking themselves with a careless post.
Software such as Tor or PGP should be used only as a supplement to vigilant online behavior for those looking to protect their privacy.
It might not be perfect, but free speech advocates say preserving the impression of anonymity is important for people who want to use the web.
The illusion of privacy on the internet is what drives people to use the internet. I mean, look what everybody does on the web now. You do your banking, you do your purchasing, you do your shopping, you do your dating, you do your communicating.
These are activities government says could be suppressed or self-censored by the chilling effect of government surveillance. I'm Ariel Levin Waldman, NCC News. Winter has come to Syracuse, and this week marks the first snow. Many of Syracuse's cyclists intend to keep biking, even through the icy weather. They have some unusual tricks to stay warm.
I went to a bike shop once, ready to buy some winter boots for hundreds of dollars, and the guy kind of was polite and told me, you know what works just as good? You know, put on a wool sock, then a grocery bag, then another wool sock, and wicks away the moisture and the wind and stuff.
But cold isn't the biggest danger from upstate's winter.
Cyclists in the winter have two main problems. The first of which is other cars can't see them on the road. The reflector here does not give off enough light to be seen through a snowstorm. The secondary huge issue is the fact that there is salt and mud on the road. The wheels throw it into the chains and the gear, which rusts them and they can break. These are the main issues that cyclists say they have to look after.
So how do cyclists stay seen in the snow? Lights are the most important, says shop owner Neil Huber.
Especially if it's like a snowy day, I'll have my lights on all day long because people are expecting cyclists on the road even less.
Winterizing a bicycle can be done for cheap. Lights are around $10 and fenders to block salt water are about $20. Spiked tires are more expensive though, adding those can run $150. In the end, it might just come down to dealing with it.
You tend to fall a little bit more often, but you're going slower, so it doesn't really hurt. You just kind of fall on your butt and get back up.
I'm Ariel Levin Waldman reporting for NCC News. When people hear the word private airplane, they usually think of private business jets like the Gulfstream here. Planes like the Gulfstream cost $59 million, and even renting a private jet will cost $3,000 per hour, on the low end. It's what economists call the textbook definition of a luxury good.
Clearly, if you're a consumer, that's rather expensive, and only the highest income consumers can afford thinking about flying on their own.
But in Cortland, New York, one man with a love of flight thinks it's affordable to anyone with the drive. Jim Spaulding opened 747 Aviation Flight School in 2008 at the height of the recession, and he was sure that he would stay in business.
It's a question of desire. I mean, if somebody wants to do it and they're not willing to buy their own excuses, I'd say anybody can do it.
The planes Spaulding flies and teaches with are not expensive jets. They are single-engine propeller aircraft, and they are the backbone of 747 aviation. So what do they really cost?
This is a Cherokee Piper. It's one of the first two planes that Jim bought. At $25,000, it's no more than a new car. It's actually much more affordable than most people think. It's the lessons that add up to a hefty penny.
To get a pilot license, the lessons add up to between $8,000 and $10,000. This includes plane maintenance, the lessons themselves, and airplane fuel, which averages $5.50 per gallon. You have to add in hangar fees. Those are about $175 a month in Cortland, and they vary by location. But an entry-level plane can be bought for as little as $13,000 pre-owned. And when combined with training, the upfront costs are still less than a luxury car. But the pilots aren't worried about the money.
All your troubles on the ground just go away. That's why I tell people is everything else just you're not worried about any relationship troubles. You're not worried about finance. You're worried about flying the darn airplane.
There's the draw that keeps pilots coming back to 747 aviation. The joy of the flight combined with prices that are within reach.
It's kind of like an addiction too. Like you just want more. So you start flying. It's like, you know what? How about tomorrow? You want to go up tomorrow? Weather's good. Let's go. So it's that addiction for it.
It's an addiction that Spaulding says he tries to make even more affordable. He has teenagers show up wanting to fly, and he is willing to cut them a deal.
I'd have them come in here and do odd jobs and for flight time, clean planes, and I'd spot them some flight time for that.
And pilots can make some money on the side to feed their habit. 747 aviation pilots fly missions as target aircraft and radar tests, and to oversee construction projects. Pilots who fly executives on private planes can make between $50,000 and $100,000 per year. Captains on commercial airlines can easily hit $200,000. But Spaulding urges people not to consider it an investment. To his pilots, it's about the experience.
If I want to see my parents in a tiny little town in Pennsylvania, I can come here. I can be there in an hour. No traffic tickets, no stop signs, no red lights. It's all about the freedom.
At the end of the day, that freedom has people willing to shell out the money for a pilot's license and a plane, because they can afford it. And to them, it's money well spent. I'm Ariel Levin Waldman, reporting for NCC News.